It started off like a dream hire. Great interview, solid references, and honestly, they said all the right things. On paper, they were a slam dunk. For the first week or so, they even looked the part. But then, tasks started slipping, follow-through got spotty, initiative disappeared. I found myself repeating instructions and thinking, wait, didn't we cover this already? Like twice? Still, every time I addressed it, they nodded enthusiastically. I totally get it now, they'd say. Thanks for the feedback. And yet, nothing changed. Hello, Difference Maker, and welcome to IDD Leader, the podcast that's all about helping human service organizations retain and grow their workforce using behavioral science. I am your host, Nate Beers. Let's dive in. Today, we're tackling that maddening question. Do I fire this underperformer, or is there still hope? By the end of the episode, you'll walk away with a behavioral science lens on why some people slack off, how to stop overcompensating for them and burning yourself out in the process, and a behavior-based game plan that either improves performance or clarifies that it's time to let them go. Cringe Corner, the rescue loop. I've seen this dynamic, and yes, I've participated in it way too many times. Here comes the hero boss, and that's me if you didn't catch it, ready to make sure that one slacking team member succeeds. Okay, here, let me tweak the schedule to set you up for success. Oh, yeah, I can write step-by-step reminders. Then I'd pull extra weight and smile through gritted teeth saying, it's fine, I've got this. And then every time I'd think, okay, this time, they finally get it. And then I'd be shocked when they didn't actually follow through. It was like watching a rerun of a show I didn't really even enjoy the first time. And yeah, I said hero, but there's a different word that is more accurate. That's the word enabler. I wasn't really leading, I was enabling. I didn't realize it, but I was creating an environment where nothing had to change. Yeah. Behavior science breakdown. Let's make this crystal clear. If you change the environment, you will change the behavior. Now, that doesn't mean you'll turn a poor fit into a star player, but it will either spark better behavior or it will make it really obvious that it's time to part ways. So why are they underperforming from a behavior science lens? Well, most slacking isn't personal. It's just behavior shaped by their past history and their current surroundings. They're doing what the environment allows or even accidentally rewards. There's two big reasons for this. Number one, there's no clear benefit for doing better. They don't see or experience the reinforcement. Or along those lines, they may actually be getting a lot of reinforcement for slacking. I mean, if you can sit on your phone and get paid to do that, who wouldn't want to? The other big reason, number two, is that there's no real consequence for doing poorly. Why? Because you or their supervisor is still carrying the load, covering the shift, writing the note, fixing the issue. They don't need to improve because you, or whoever oversees them, has made it possible not to. So what do we do about this? Well, if we want change, we need to set up clear contingencies for specific, observable, measurable behaviors. I would recommend starting by asking yourself, what's in it for them if they step up? Then secondly, what happens if they don't? In other words, you're kind of like creating a reward, a positive thing, or at least connecting them to some kind of positive reinforcement for following through, for stepping up, for not slacking. But then you're also saying, if this continues, And it has to be specific, measurable behaviors. But if these behaviors continue, then this is the bad thing that's going to happen. And to be clear, vague warnings do not count. Saying things like, you need to improve, it's like trying to use vibes as a GPS. They need specific, clear next steps. Scripted. How to get off the hamster wheel. Well, first let's talk about what doesn't work. Saying things like, you just need a better attitude, or you need to stop being lazy. Very vague, and there's no behaviors involved. In other words, there's no actions for them to do differently. Or, you're on thin ice. Okay, that's an interesting metaphor, but there's no real feedback in that. And the one I've seen so very often is the punishment in the moment, but with no follow-through. I'm so frustrated right now. Or a boss that just goes off. But then that was the negative thing, was just the boss going off. There's not actually a consequence to the staff. What that teaches most staff members is that they just need to get better at hiding their slacking so that their boss doesn't catch them. Or you can kind of picture this, I'm sure, but everybody's goofing off, and then they see someone's car pull up, and all of a sudden they get real busy looking like they've been working the whole time. Yeah, that's how you know that they're mostly probably just trying to avoid the punishment in the moment, but it does not sustain better behavior, and it certainly doesn't make someone who's slacking stop slacking. All that means is when the boss is there, they're going to act. But what you really need are clear consequences in a good way for them for them engaging in best practices, and clear consequences that are going to be something they don't want if they continue to slack off. So how does this look, or what's the script for that? Well, here we go. I'll give it to you. Instead of saying those other things, this is what you can say. Starting next week, I need you to specific behavior by certain time. So I need you to finish your daily case notes before you leave your shift, or whatever it is that you need them to do. And secondly, you can say, when that happens consistently, here's what you can count on. And you might have to think about this for a moment, but you want to try to tie it to some kind of reward. Listen, if someone's been slacking a lot, first of all, it's probably weighing down the team, but what you might want to consider doing is saying, hey, if you get your paperwork done, complete, on time, every time for the next 2 weeks, I'll buy you a dozen donuts, or I'll get you a coffee, or just something. Maybe you can let them, depending on what the situation is, maybe you can let them get off 30 minutes early or something. But figure out a way to reward that behavior that would matter to them. A side note here, something that I love helping organizations do is to set up reward systems so that some of the normal best practices, but get small rewards on a regular, predictable basis, so that you can immediately, so everyone every leader in that organization can immediately tie their staff's behaviors, the positive behaviors, to getting rewards. It's actually really cool. But even if you don't have something formally set up, there's still lots of ways to do this informally. And then the third thing you want to say. So let me go over what we just talked about. Starting next week, I need you to blank by blank. Number 2, when that happens consistently, here's what you can count on. And then number 3, this is the third part of what you'd say. If it doesn't happen, we will do X, Y, or Z. It might be starting a corrective action plan. It might be who knows what. But you want to make it really clear that you're not going to keep tolerating or keep compensating for them. Now, the first time you say that, they might not believe you. That's okay. You just need to follow through with the positive thing if they do the right thing, and the negative thing if they do the wrong thing. After you've said those, there is one more thing I'd recommend saying, and that is, what do you need from me to help make that doable? This is where you're trying to help encourage some buy-in. You're trying to help them see that you're for them. You're on their team. You're rooting for them. You're not just ready to cut ties with them. And you want to listen whenever they respond to that. And here it is. It's not about lowering the standards by asking them that, or about now all of a sudden you have to enable the way that you may have been before. but it's about setting a behavioral contract. In other words, you're getting that buy-in. And the reason, to go back to number 2, the reason we want to have rewards in there is that chasing rewards is way more fun and more effective than just avoiding punishment. In other words, this is less of a Michael Scott trying to motivate by yelling at Toby, and it's more of a Leslie Knope with a color-coded reward chart. Action moves. Try this week. Well, I always like to give you something very practical to just jump in and get started right away. Number 1, stop rescuing. If you catch yourself doing a job for them, pause. That's the symptom that the system's a little bit broken. Just pause. Pause it right there. Number 2, write a performance contingency plan. You just have to define the key behavior, name the positive consequence, and name the next step if they don't follow through. And number 3, have the conversation. Obviously, you got to have this conversation with them, which I go over more in depth in just a very recent episode where I talk about like 3-sentence framework for having tough conversations. Feel free to check out that episode. But here's kind of the kicker with the whole thing. You don't want this process to get dragged out or delayed. You set very clear, set the environment up very clearly so that they're either going to succeed and step up, or they're going to fail, and then you can do what you need to do to let them go or whatever, so that you stay out of this land of ambiguity where you're kind of covering for them, or they sort of seem to get it, but then they're not getting it. We just want to end that cycle as soon as possible. Sometimes when it looks like a bad fit, it's really just the product of fuzzy expectations and inconsistent consequences. When that gets cleared up, when you've shifted the environment, you will either see a turnaround, and you'll probably be able to tell within a week. I mean, this does not take long. You'll see a turnaround, or you'll see very clearly it is definitely time to move on. And when it's time to move on, like I said, do it quickly. Slow, drawn-out exits wear down the whole team, the culture, and you as well. Now listen, you want to level up your staff retention? I've got a tool for you. It's the Turnover Fix Playbook. It's a free PDF download. You can get it at iddleader.com/supervisor. And in it are four simple supervisor habits that reduce turnover, and they make your job so much less exhausting. There's even a checklist that supervisors can self-track to see if they're implementing these habits, which, again, will make your life so much easier. If this episode was helpful to you, would you consider forwarding it to a friend, a colleague, or rating or reviewing on Apple or Spotify, or even putting a comment down in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube? That would be very helpful. And how is it helpful? It helps people find the podcast. That's what it does. All right. Until next time, here's to you, difference maker. Keep up the amazing work.